for ages when I spotted mooncalves dancing below and we landed to watch them. It felt like an omen, a good one, a sign that the worst was over.
What do you mean you'd had enough and the worst was over?
You see, the night I freed Highwing was also the night I ran away from home. A poacher camp. I come from a family of poachers.
Merlin, I don't know what to say, Poppy. I can't imagine what that must have been like for you.
I never fitted in, but the older I got, the more apparent it became. Gran tried for years to convince my parents to let me live with her. Suffice it to say, when I left with Highwing, I flew straight for her house.
How brave. I'm glad you escaped.
So am I. There were so many creatures I was unable to help when I was younger. Now that's all I want to do.
From everything I've seen, you're doing precisely that.
I've had a bit of help. I've never told anyone any of this, but I'm glad that you know. It's nice to have someone to talk about it with.
What was it like growing up in a family of poachers?
The thing I remember most was how much we moved around, always chasing the next big kill. It was chaotic and dangerous and nowhere a child should ever grow up.
Do your parents know about the things you do now? Saving the dragon from the fighting ring, for instance.
We don't speak, or rather, they don't speak to me. Last I heard, they were in Borneo trying to make their fortunes there, acromantulas. However, I wouldn't be surprised if word has got back to them. Some days a part of me hopes that it has. Now that I'm older, I wish I could talk to them, get them to see sense. But sadly, I suspect that wouldn't do any good.
We were around so many poachers in the tent. Were you not worried about being recognized?
Poachers are nomadic, and most of the ones in the area aren't any I'd grown up with. That said, I suspect someone must have recognized me. That's how they got to Gran.
I'm glad you told me.
We should get back to Doran. He'll need to see the symbol, and we've got poachers to beat. If you collect the moonstone, I can make a quick drawing of the symbol for Doran.
Are you finished with the drawing?
Just barely. I think the pattern's a bird. At least that's what it looks like.
Didn't the journal say the key to finding the Snidgets lies in the moonlight?
Of course. That's it. We need to show this to Doran. Not that I'd know where to find him at this hour. Perhaps we should head back to the castle and we can track him down after a good night's sleep.
Agreed. I'm ready to leave if you are.
Dick thinks you should be proud of all the potions you've brewed.
I'd like to ask you about changing the room's ambiance.
Of course. What sort of overall look most appeals to you?
Actually, perhaps another time. I'd like to ask you about changing the room's ambiance.
Of course. What sort of overall look most appeals to you?
Actually, perhaps another time.
thinks you've made marvelous
Revelio.
improvements here.
Professor Howin will never believe this.
Bombarda!
Potions.
I'll look after you.
How nice to see you, my young friend.
Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
Very welcome. Do let me know if I can be of any assistance at all. I hope to see you again. Farewell.
Oh, the Ministry will hear about this! The fiends will rot in Azkaban!
Sir, are you all right? You seem to be in some distress.
All right? Do I look all right? I've been kidnapped!
How can you be kidnapped when you're right here?
What sort of question is that? Of course I'm right here. I've more than one frame. Do you only have one home? It's my other frame. It's been stolen. And by students, no less. They paid filthy thieves to steal my other frame.
Oh dear, that sounds awful.
Well, awful is exactly what Astoria Cricket is. She's behind all of this. She and her friends were moaning about me of all the nerve. Then I heard her plot to enlist a gang of good-for-nothings to have me stolen from the Three Broomsticks. That's why my other frame hung. A hovel of a place. Though I suppose one could do worse. I once knew a portrait who ended up in the Hog's Head. No one's heard from him since.
Right. So, back to your frame.
Ah, yes. There I was, powdering my wig, and the next thing I knew, I was being manhandled by rogues and carried off. As if I can afford not to be at my post. I do important work for the headmaster, and I need my other frame back at the Three Broomsticks.
Just who is Astoria Cricket, and what would she want with your frame?
She's a fourth-year troublemaker, that's who. She and her band of hoodlums discuss all sorts of misdeeds right under my nose, and then resent me for overhearing them. I can only assume they took my frame in some misguided attempt to punish me for doing my job.
What do you mean you do important work for the headmaster?
Let's just say I overhear quite a bit in Sirona's fine establishment, and the headmaster likes to know all about it. He's come to count on me in this regard. Reminds me of my prefect days.
I don't suppose you have any idea where your stolen frame was taken. Can you see anything from it?
I most certainly can. They brought me to a ruin of all places. Some crumbling atrocity surrounded by water from the sound of it. Oh, I do also recall seeing the coast on the way.
I could look into the matter for you.
Oh, would you? How marvelous. Do it quickly, though, won't you? The place they took me to is quite beneath me. Off you go, then.
Revelio.
Does it get any more cozy than Hogsmeade? Astoria Cricket?
That depends. Am I in trouble?
Ferdinand Pratt thinks you should be. Says you stole his frame.
I wouldn't call it stolen. Relocated's more like it. How do I put this nicely? Ferdinand Pratt is a pustulant boil, and he's lucky I didn't have him sealed in a wall.
Surely he can't be that terrible, can he?
All he does is spy on students in here and report back to the headmaster. Sometimes, if there's nothing to report, he'll make it up. I spent 4 hours in detention last week, all because he told Black that I was planning to drain the lake, whatever that means. It was the last straw. He and his frame had to go.
May I ask where you put him?
Oh, I didn't put him anywhere. The frame is likely with the fine gents I paid to snatch it. They camp in a ruin by the coast. I just wanted it far enough away that I'd never have to think about Ferdinand Pratt ever again.
You do know he's screaming in the library as we speak.
Oh, for the love of Merlin. If you ask me, he's got nothing to scream about. I could have had him put in the hogshead. The pampered Pratt would have hated it. Grimy walls, smell of goats. And the patrons, they eat snooty princes like Ferdinand for dinner. But what's done is done. He isn't here anymore, and if I were you, I should enjoy it. Lovely chatting with you.
If it isn't Nora Treadwell's precious little guardian. Stop right there!
Expelliarmus!
Hey, that's mine! No!
Look what you've done! You paid for it. You should never your life in here. You're the one who freed our hip.
Ringo!
It's the one who took the goblin elf.
Ringo!
Can't you snuffed out my Alohomora future, you whelp?
Ringo!
No matter how many of us you defeat, we'll keep coming. Let's see you survive that. Quite a violence.
Beat around so we can sleep a bit easier now.
Revelio.
No one's staying that. Ain't someone messing about ransom?
I know I'm not hearing things.
Get back here or I'll have you stewed like a lamb!
Confringo!
What have you done?
Petrificus totalis!
Serve your mistress! Petrificus totalis!
Petrificus totalis!
I thought you didn't. You took that goblin helm. That's the student you stole it.
Confringo!
You think you're so clever, don't you?
Oh, try not to make this too easy for me. What's that? Let's have a look then.
I'll watch the light go out of your eyes.
You will pay!
Expulso!
You may be more skilled than most.
Beard! What was that? Stand and fight me! You can't hold out forever.
Revelio. Revelio. Revelio.
Time. It's a wonder there's anything left of me.
Calm down, I'm here now.
Calm down. Those buffoons outside have been talking about burning me. Me! If they weren't all sharing half a brain, they'd realize I'm worth more to them intact and at the Three Broomsticks.
How is that?
With everything I overhear, I'm a veritable trove of information. Now, don't just stand there. I need to be back by cocktail hour. The place will be like a funeral without me.
What if I don't want to return you to the Three Broomsticks?
What on earth do you mean?
What if I took you to the Hog's Head instead? I've heard such nice things.
What a funny little joke. Now, the Three Broomsticks, please. Oh, they're bound to be missing me terribly. Be sure to carry me carefully, won't you? My pantaloons are already creased. Where have you put me? It's pitch black in here. I shan't stand for this. What are you, a troll? All your heavy stamping about is going to damage my frame. You! Take me out of here immediately! You'll be sorry if I catch a flea. Oh, finally! Back on my wall and more angelic than ever.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
I'm not usually one to give thanks. There's a sort of servant ring to it. But I suppose some gratitude is in order. As a show of goodwill, I'll exclude whatever misdeeds I hear about you in my reports to the headmaster. And I do hear quite a bit. Now, be off with you. I can't be seen talking to a student. Go on then, go! It's all right, everyone. I'm back.
Oh, I hope it was worth it, bringing Ferdinand back to the Three Broomsticks.
We were merely musing on the state of affairs.
Revelio.
Warm.
Oh, such fun!
Revelio. Revelio.
What does it matter whether we even do our homework?
Revelio.
Oh, drat! I'm not ready for Professor Bin's lecture. I forgot my pillow.
In today's lesson, we will cover a truly thrilling event. The Goblin Rebellion of 1752 and all its triumphant tragedy. But more specifically, we will address the devastating effects it had on the wizard milling industry. Actually, we do know the number. 632. But history occurs outside the classroom. And look, it's time for my constitutional. One can practically osmose the history flowing through Hogwarts.
I think the professor wants us to follow him.
And now for a stroll to the bell tower.
If you fail history of magic,
Along
you're
with the
doomed to
rest of the
repeat it.
castle, it was completed in the
Class,
late
that is.
early Middle Ages. The hall and the bell towers that loom above it contain myriad interesting artifacts.
Revelio.
Good to see you again. Recovered from that nasty bout of dragon pox, have we?
That wasn't me, Professor. I'm new here.
Are you? Well then, welcome. No doubt you're eagerly anticipating my analysis of various wizarding councils, codes, statutes, and of course, goblin rebellions. Not all goblins are rebellious. Some venture into wizarding politics, such as Eargit the Ugly. Some are talented artisans, such as Bragbor the Boastful.
Did you say Bragbor? I think I know that name.
Well known for his metalwork. I would imagine much of his goblin wrought iron and silver has survived to this very day.
Oh, of course. Lodgok said he was an ancestor of Ranrock.
Where were we? Oh yes. Back to our class topic for today. Grimbold Weft. Another notable historical figure. He's right nearby. Curious students
Revelio.
find him on display here.
Oh, this isn't...
And that all students introduce themselves to this hero. Grimbold Weft is responsible. Oh yes, I see you found Grimbold Weft.
Yes, I rather enjoyed seeking him out.
The thrill of the scholarly pursuit. I know the feeling quite well. Now, let's turn our attention to the agreeability and general good nature of Sir Aphbuttle. He's also nearby. See what you can learn from him for your next assignment. Standing in eternal but symbolic watch over the bell tower
Revelio.
is a retinue of loyal knights, or rather, statues of knights, I should clarify. Keen-eyed students will spot the statue of Sir Aphbuttle of the cheerful countenance nestled among the ranks.
what I wouldn't give to be back on a broom right now.
His fame was not won by vanquishing foes in single combat, nor by slaying bloodthirsty dragons. Rather in training yards and scullery.
These bits of broom are all that's left of a witch called Celine Wartnaby.
Abandoning class to wander the halls is in keeping with Professor Binns' manner of teaching.
And to make the waving statue's acquaintance. There's nothing quite so magical as history. Dusty, immutable history. Hogwarts is impervious to the inexorable march of time.
Revelio.
Why I admire it so.
Leave it to Binns to make the most interesting school in the world seem dull.
This unassuming smudge is rumored to be the location of the very first successful use of Bombarda. I suppose successful is a relative term, since whoever cast it didn't live to tell the tale.
The Hogwarts founders could never have achieved such architectural magic.
This is a centuries-old likeness of Pangadon. Fearless mouse hunter and devoted study companion. People have always loved their pets. I find that comforting.
Wagadu's history is, well, a bit different than that of Hogwarts, to say the least.
As one would expect.
Professor Binns, I found the statue of Sir Afpuddle.
Ah, well done. Alas, Sir Afpuddle's affability was his undoing. Died instantly trying to befriend a basilisk. Eye contact is not always to be encouraged. So beloved was he that even some goblins mourned his passing. Of course, that did not bode well with the rest of the goblins, most of whom could not abide mourning the loss of a wizard.
Pity goblins and wizards can't get along.
True, but imagine how dull my lectures would be without goblin rebellions to discuss. History does tend to repeat. It is a series of patterns, a thought both comforting and disconcerting. The wise student, such as yourself, will learn from it. History is written by those who do their schoolwork, so they say. Or at least, I like to say that.
Looks like we've all gone in another one of Binns' wild goose.
How can we do so much and accomplish so little?
Revelio. Finite! Revelio. Finite! Revelio. Finite! Hogsmeade, here I come. Pardon me, sir, but about those curious demiguise statues I've seen.
What? Who are you? Why do you ask?
They're quite clever.
Oh, thank you. A lot of craftsmanship and care went into them. I assume.
So you did create them?
Yes, I did. It was a ploy to give that pathetic oaf Moon a taste of the grief he caused me years ago. You are the one who's been pilfering them.
I am, at the request of Mr. Moon. I received your owl on your stationery.
Ah, well, fitting Moon would enlist a student. Too cowardly to do it himself. Hasn't changed a bit. Even when we were at school, he was a cowardly bully. Gave me a horrible nickname, which I shan't repeat. I was thrilled when we left school and he seemed gone for good. Then I started seeing him around Hogsmeade. It was too much. Even if I do take satisfaction in that his life's destiny was to be a lowly caretaker.
Mr. Moon does a good deal for the school, and he's taught me a lot. He's terrified of those statues.
I know. You should have seen his face when that boggart appeared. Oh, priceless. That's when I knew what I needed to do. I simply didn't want to encounter him anymore. So, I shrewdly put a boggart in his path to learn his greatest fear. I then created the demiguise statues to keep him in his place, so to speak. The Moons were inspired play on his name. It worked brilliantly, until you started clearing them out.
Sounds as if Mr. Moon deserved what he got. But perhaps it's time you both moved on.
Fair point, I suppose. If they've terrified him, as you say, he may have learned his lesson.
Duncan owes his reputation to you.
Revelio. Mr. Moon, I've learned who's behind the demiguise statues. It was a classmate of yours that you bullied, Piers Pemberton.
Oh, I might have known. Pigtails Piers.
I don't think he likes being called that.
Of course he does. Oh, we had such flowing locks, and we used to laugh about them. I laughed the hardest of all. Clever, clever man. I'd no idea he was so devious. I must go and congratulate him. Whatever statues remain seem less terrifying now that I know they were put out by old pigtails. Continue collecting them if you like. As for me, I'm going to go and pay a visit to my old friend.